Hello, runners. Hope you all are doing well. For those who don't know me, my name is Anirudh, aka Coach Ani, and I'm here with another episode of RHWB podcast. In today's episode, I have three super amazing runners of RHWB as my guests, who I can guarantee not only will inspire you with all their amazing stories, but also you will all learn from them in terms of some best practices, the mental model they followed, the process they followed to transform themselves from an absolutely non-runner to an amazing runner of RHWB. So we'll talk with them. But before we begin, just for those who are listening to this podcast for the first time and maybe doesn't know the objective of this podcast, this is one of the education channel for our RHWB runner. We at RHWB strongly believe that running is a continuous learning process. So there is more to running than just training your muscle, improving stamina, but there is a lot of other things to learn. And learning happens, learning should happen in 360 degree, as Bala mentioned in one of his podcasts. So not only we all are learning from our coaches, but also the idea is that let's learn from our fellow runners, and hence the podcast. All right. So coming back to today's podcast guest, as I said earlier, they are excellent runners, but they also share some common traits among them. Uh, the first one is they all joined RHWB for the first time in last season, season 10, Miles of Excitement. Till that time, they were non-runner. Let me put it that way. But they decided to take long distance running seriously, and they joined the last season for the first time. So we'll ask them how was their first season experience and all that. The second characteristics or common characteristic is they were coaches' delight. I don't know. I'm not sure if coaches' delight is a right English word, but what I mean by that is they did their training to the T. Their coaches were super impressed the way the way they carried out in 16 weeks of season 10. And when I reached out to the coaches asking them, hey, do you have any new runners who are ready to come on a podcast? These were the three names which were on the top of the list. So yes, coaches delight. Let's use that word for today. The third common characteristic is they finish the 16 weeks program successfully and ran their distance on a D-day. That means on a race day, they completed the distance they set out for. And that talks a lot about the commitment to the program. And obviously, as they were new runners, they all managed this despite all the setbacks, the nervousness and anxiety which generally new runner has or go through. So today's podcast is all about asking them what process they followed, what mental model they followed, what exactly they did to successfully complete season 10 program and complete the entire 16 weeks of training program, but also completing their race. So that's the idea. So without further ado, let me invite Hitesh, Arnav, and Shubhangi to this podcast. Hello, guys. Uh, Welcome to the podcast. And first of all, sincere thank you for doing this. Hope, during my tee off, as I said, some of the characteristics, are common among all of you. And you guys have successfully completed the last season. And I'm sure you have a lot to share with our runners who, hopefully will benefit from this, especially the new runners of RHW. We have a lot of new runners in this season today. So let me start with a quick introduction. So we'll just go, with the introduction first. So Hitesh, over to you. Talk to us about, where do you live, what distance you ran in the last season, what are you training for, and anything you would like to add.
Sure. Thanks, Coach Ani, and thanks for organizing this. So, yeah, myself, Hitesh Khandelwal. I live here in Danbury, Connecticut, with my wife and a 10-year-old daughter. And as you mentioned, last season was my first season with RHWB. I did for half marathon and was able to successfully complete it. I'm again training for half marathon, this time into speed category and trying to improve my speed. And before I pass it on, it's good to be called a first bencher for a change. So good to be in good books of coach. Yeah.
No, that's impressive, man. I mean, so you are saying you did your first half marathon last season, and now immediately in the next season you are in a speed program. That's super impressive. Great.
Yeah, coach just asked, like, said that okay, I can definitely try to win that one. So trying hard for that. Yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. Welcome.
Thank
Shubhangi?
you.
Okay. Hi, Coach Ani, and hello, everyone. Okay, so this is Shubhangi Saraf. I live in Toronto with my husband and two kids. They are young, they are 5 and 8. I moved here, I was in New Jersey till 2 years ago, and then I moved to Toronto. Last season was my first season with RHWB. It was the first time I had participated in any structured training program or run long distances, and it was my first time participating in a race. I ran the TCS Toronto half marathon, and I was really fortunate to have the guidance of Coach Sushma, also the support of the whole RHWB community. And so I'm very excited to share my experiences of the race and the training program. And this season, again, I'm training for a half marathon.
Oh, nice. And you live in Toronto. So, I mean, I live in New Jersey, and for a couple of days, or rather, I think it's more than a week, that the weather condition have been really, really bad. But I guess I can't complain. I mean, someone in Toronto is training for half marathon during a winter season. So we'd like to hear from you what, if you have any tips for us on how to train in winter. So I'll come to that. But let's go to Arnav. Hey, Arnav.
Hi, my name is Arnav Singh. So I live in Edison, New Jersey, and last season, I did my first 10K, and now I'm training for a half marathon. So yeah, I participated in the RHWB race day, and I'm really excited to share everything about it.
Awesome. How old are you, by the way?
Oh, sorry, I'm 13. I'm in eighth grade right now.
Let me tell you one thing now. A 13-year-old doing a first 10K and not only successfully completing it, coming back for another reason with a bigger challenge of half marathon during a winter when the school is going on. I'm telling you, dude, you're going to inspire a lot of stuff just by saying that. I'm sure some people already got inspired. I'm excited to have you on the podcast, and we'll hear from you as well. So
Thank you.
Arnav, let me start with you. Uh, 13-year-old, and you picked up running. Why? I mean, what was the primary factor you decided to pursue long distance running?
So one of the main motivational factors for this was, I really wanted to be in a school team, and I decided to pick up cross country from sixth grade. So, in sixth grade, I couldn't make the team, and I tried again in seventh grade. I still didn't make it, and I thought there must be something. So over the summer, I picked up RHWB, and that's when season 10 started. So as I fell into the running schedule, at first it was hard, but as I fell into it, I felt like runs were much more casual, and I was starting to look forward to them instead of look at them as a challenge. So so then when the tryout day came, I made the cut for the cross country team. So that like really showed me that if I just put in the practice, I'll make it.
Oh, congratulations! That's amazing. And see, I mean, there are so many kids in our RHWB program. I mean, if you heard Bala's podcast before, right? He started this organization with kids actually, right? So that they
Yeah.
can spend more time on the track than in front of the TV. So having someone like you joining the program with a goal, completing it successfully, and then making it to cross country, that's an inspiring story, man. That's great.
Thank you.
Hitesh, how about you? What got into running?
So, I mean, I have always been fascinated with running, but has never been part of a sort of a organized program. So, and the motivation, like always, I used to start running in summers, run few days, but then always like it was never consistent, right? And then again, one of my neighbor, he was a long time RHWB participant, so he got me into RHWB. That's where I started. Okay, started to understand that. Okay, what are the signs behind the running? Is it's not just get up and running, right? So you have to go through a lot of training and doing it right way makes a lot of difference. And that's where when I did the half marathon last time, it didn't feel like a big thing for me because of all the hard work and all the training that went through in the preparation of that. So that really made the difference as to how to run basically.
Yeah. And 16 weeks of training, if you do it with an intention, with a consistency, you do realize on a race day that you've prepared your body well to take on what you set out for, right? Obviously, there are this last mile agony which every runner go through and discomfort every runner goes through. But overall, 90% of the running experience is, or the race day experience is really, really great if you go through a 16 weeks training program like that. So I'm glad it helped you. Shubhangi, this was your first half marathon. Who got into long distance running?
Yeah, so in my life, I've always, on and off, I've gone for short runs, 2 or 3 miles, just in an effort to stay fit and active. But I have 2 young children at home and a somewhat demanding job. So though I want to stay fit and active, I would find myself always finding reasons to skip or excuses to not be getting my regular exercise. And so I was looking for something structured, something that would keep me disciplined and go out, and also something I would enjoy. And my brother Saket had already been with RHWB for 2 seasons. And so for a whole year, I had been listening to his stories about his running journey with RHWB. And so, that was really motivating. He would keep talking to me, and he basically convinced me to sign up. I said, okay, this is the thing, you have to do it. And I'm really glad he talked me into doing it, because I think this helped me take charge somehow of my health and fitness. And the motivation and support I got from RHWB was awesome. The fact that I stuck through it for 16 weeks, was also impressed with myself, and I'm glad I'm doing it again.
Yeah, so that's
Yeah.
amazing. See, if you talk to any runner, including me, right? You take up training or start running because you heard amazing stories from someone else. So I had this friend in Washington D.C. and I used to play cricket and a lot of other sports. And I was on a call with him, and this is back in 2012, by the way. And I was on a call with him and say, you know what, yesterday I ran 21 kilometers. And I said, what the heck? Why do you run 21 kilometers for no reason? And he kind of got in the details of how we train for itself, not only physically but mentally, and the endurance training you have to go through, and most importantly, the joy he got at the end of the race, that he's fit enough to run 21 kilometers. And that's why I picked up the training. Rather, I picked up the running, and I gave it a try, and I'm with it, touchwood, for last 10 years. But I would like to hear from you, Shubhangi, because we are with you at this point. What happens is somebody inspires you, and then you enroll in this program. It's a new resolution, right? New Year resolution phenomenon, I call it. You enroll in this program, 2-3 weeks, excitement, and then life happens, right? The school started, office calls you, there is day-to-day things, kids at home, the reality settles in, and you are not able to prioritize the runs. Do you have, how did you manage? I mean, coach said your training program was to the T. Do you have any tips and tricks for our runners?
So I think, again, it was the community support which actually kept, like the fact that my coach would keep checking in on me, comment on every run, and there's all the time I'm getting WhatsApp messages about everybody completing their run. So you feel you're in something with a bigger group of people. You feel like not letting them down. I think this community support was great to sustain the motivation. And how did you manage to make it happen? Once you decide firmly that you're doing it, I guess you need to do some planning to make it happen. I had to get my kids ready in the morning before school, so I had to start waking up early, sleeping early, so to get in my run before the rest of the family is even awake. So I think it was just somehow, I think the community, or talking to my brother or my coach, and this community kept the motivation high. And then it was just a matter of making it a priority and then working around my schedule to
Yeah.
to sleep early, wake up early, and just make it happen. That was the only way to do it. And yeah, it was good.
Makes sense. Makes sense. Makes a lot of sense. I don't know. I know it was not a school season last season when you trained, but right now you're training for school season and you are still able to manage it. How do you keep yourself motivated on this training program?
Yeah, so I think what really helps me is the fixed schedule that RHW provides in Final Surge. So I really like that, as I can see what my run is next week, how long I'm running, and I can plan accordingly. And I feel like it's so much better than just thinking about it on the spot, how much will I run before you start. And it just really helps keep me going. And it's also the community that really motivates me, just seeing everyone completing their runs and just helps me, and I think we all just motivate each other.
This is amazing. You know what I'm hearing from you, Shubhangi and Arnav, is commitment to be consistent with the training, right? But consistency, the way I see it, is an outcome of something, and that I think that's something what Arnav is called out is planning ahead. Uh, for example, on Sunday, checking what are my activities for next week, right? Before going to bed, checking next day, is it a strength training? It is a run. If it is a run, what type of run I have to do? How is the weather? Whether I have to do it outside or maybe hit the gym and do it on a treadmill, or I have to communicate with coach and say, hey, you know what, snow everywhere, and I may not be able to do it, and I will schedule it for something. But I think commitment to be consistent and by proper planning is what I'm hearing right here. So I mean that is a very common discipline I see with all the runners who can complete the 16 weeks of program. Hitesh, office calling back, right? And I know there was a work from home stuff which made it easier to go out for run. But now everywhere since last season, office has started calling you back to the office. I think 3 times a week. And I know your schedule is like that. How did you manage to be on top of the training program?
I mean, again, I think Arnav and Shubhangi hit the right chords, right? Like communication, planning, they are must. Right? You need to know what you need to do on a certain day so that you can plan accordingly. I try to be flexible in some time, because sometimes I said, okay, I'll run in the morning, but morning doesn't happen. There is a call, last minute call that happens, or I have to be early, right? I try to keep it flexible any time of the day, wherever I get a window where I think I can complete my run. I try to do it rather than trying to stick to a particular time, but not being able to do that. So, but basically, I know that I have to complete these many runs in these days. So I plan accordingly, and then try to keep it flexible. But the main point is complete your runs, complete your strength training to the plan, because that always helps you in the longer run side. And then communicate with the coach if
Yeah.
things are not working out for a day or two or a week, because they always they have done it so many times. They always know the reasons, always know the solutions about it. So they'll get you through the challenges that you're having.
Yeah, it's about building a habit, right? Being consistent, and slowly you see that it has become a habit now.
Yeah.
And
And it feels, when you do it, it feels good. When you do it a week or two
yeah,
or three in a routine, it feels good. So it motivates you further to again and again.
yeah. So the question is, do you want to build this habit? Is this a priority for you? And if it is a priority for you, are you planning ahead so that it does not come, you wake up in the morning, look at final search, and then something comes as a surprise, and you just skip it. So well said, well said. Uh, with running, I mean, running is an impact sport, right? Everyone who starts running hits some setbacks, right? Either with the schedule, or there are some niggles here and there. Some of the runners actually get the injury. So Hitesh, did you face any setbacks like this? And how did you overcome those?
I mean, definitely. So when I started the stride sessions in there, right? As I had my knee injury, could not complete a couple of runs, right? And then again, as we discussed, I talked to Coach Shri. He suggested take it slow. If there is injury, don't overdo it, right? You need to understand, listen to your body, and I think that's what Coach Bala and every coach always say, right? So use ice pack, take it slow for a few days, and then the keep your body ready for the running, right? So again, the strength trainings and always that prepares you so that you don't get injury. But then eventually, if you do, or even after trying, I think then you need to listen to your body. So I had a knee injury during that stride session, so I could not run for think 3 4 runs. I had to miss it, but then I used that what do you say that period to heal back, did ice packing, and then some of the exercises to sort of get the strength and then injury healed up, and then started again sort of coming into the rhythm slowly. So yeah, I mean
Yeah.
that happens, but you have to then do what the expert says basically.
Yeah, yeah. So it's quite normal. Beginner runners often develop, things like shin splints or little bit of sore knees, sore muscle here and there. And I like you called out that, using ice pack after the workout, especially if you are feeling a lot of soreness, can help you. Uh, People obviously use ice packs. They put bag of frozen peas on their shin for 15 minutes. You're watching a TV, you just put it on the muscle and let it heal. Like, yeah, that definitely can help you. Shubhangi, do you have any setbacks? Mother with two kids, two little kids, with a demanding job. I'm sure you have, you somehow managed to be on top of the training despite any setbacks come on your way.
So I think I was fortunate to not have to deal with any injuries.
Okay, great.
I did deal with the muscle soreness. Like after some few of the longer runs, I had quite a bit of muscle soreness, and I messaged my coach, and she told me, "Oh, foam rolling really helps." And I immediately sent my husband out to buy a foam roller for me, and he came back, and that really helped. I think I could feel in a few hours, I could feel the difference, and so it wasn't an injury, and in a day or two of rest, I was able to recover from the muscle soreness. But I had had little niggles with knee injuries in my past, so I was aware that injury could be an issue, and I tried to keep on top of it by focusing on hydration and not skipping the strength training and the warm-ups, and maybe that helped. But I was fortunate to not have anything more serious than muscle
Yeah,
soreness, I think is quite common.
yeah. I think one of the thing I generally tell my runners is accept, right? Don't get surprised. Accept that some setback, an injury or muscle soreness will happen, especially if you are training for the first season. Everyone goes through that, right? So because sometimes you don't expect that, and then it comes as a surprise, and then you don't want, you basically you think look at it in a very negative way, right? Instead of that, I think it's about building that mental model that injury can happen, soreness will happen, but the benefits I'm getting from doing this, they outweigh some of these setbacks I have to deal with, right? So that is one thing you have to be absolutely, yeah, be aware of, right? Second thing which Hitesh pointed out in terms of having some preventive way of looking at it, right? Making sure you don't miss your strength training, making sure you are doing dynamic stretches before you go out for go out for your run. So especially in winter, you want to make sure your body is warm when you start the activity. When you come from run, you want to make sure you are doing stretches, right? And then on top of that, if there is any specific area which is more sore than other, using ice pack or that area specific stretches will definitely help you. I don't know.
I
What
mean,
about you? And any? Yeah, Hitesh.
no, sorry. That one of the points that I want to make is if you're running outside, know your surroundings, especially
Hmm.
if you're running into a new area. Make sure the surfaces are even, because sometimes they lead to ankle injury, twisted ankles, and all. So that would be again another advice, especially people running outside. That would be a good thing to take care of.
Yep, yep. I don't know. What about you? I don't. We talked about injury, but Arnav was by the way, Arnav was part of my cohort, right? And in the initial days, I used to hear from you that there are days when you feel good after running. There are days when your body is heavy, your legs are heavy, and you're just dragging, right? That also is kind of setback. Not setback in the sense that you feel you're not feeling as good as you want to feel at the end of the run, right? and that little bit demotivating. So, Arnav, did how did you deal with that?
Yeah, so I dealt with that on top of that, like the first 2 weeks or so, it was very just I wasn't motivated at all. Like I wanted to get into it, but it was just very hard. But I think what really just helped me get into it was running with my dad and conversational pace.
Hmm.
So I think that's really what motivated me and realized that I could have fun and still run. And I didn't have to look at running like a setback or something. So that's how I faced it. And yeah, so I suggest running with someone. It just really helps.
Yeah, yeah. Uh, See, look, I always say this: running is a sport about starting over, right? Injury, bad sleep, you missed an activity, you had a bad run day, uh, work trip disrupting your routine, or but you have to, every time you look at the activity you have a run, it is about starting over because you never know on that day how are you gonna feel it, right? So if you have that mental model of just remembering good running days and not worry about bad running days, but remembering good running days and use that to propel your motivation to keep continuing with the activity, that really helps. Uh, Shubhangi, I'll come to you for nutrition, right? Nutrition is a big topic. A lot of new runners, even in my cohort, they come to you in second week, third week, and they ask about nutrition. Hey, I've started this long distance program, 5K, 10K, half marathon. Do you want me to eat anything? Take any supplements? Go on a sports drink on a daily basis and stuff like that. So especially new runners are very curious about the nutrition habits. What did you follow?
So I generally try to eat healthy, like not over process lots of processed food or too much sugar. So I didn't do anything very special. Like I tried to keep my diet generally balanced. But also getting enough sleep and rest was good.
Hmm.
But I focused on hydration, generally balanced diet, I think. And maybe once the runs became longer, then even this was the information I was getting even from the RHWB community. Then
Hmm.
I made sure I was hydrating, like carrying water with me on longer runs and carrying electrolytes. So runs beyond 10K distance, I think I was carrying with me electrolytes as well as carrying gels to
Hmm.
replenish myself to be able to get through the longer runs. So and also maybe before leaving for the longer runs, I would not go empty stomach. I would eat maybe a banana or maybe a toast with something an hour
Hmm.
before the run to have for the longer runs. I think the shorter runs, I didn't have to do anything special, though I made sure I was hydrated. And
Yeah.
long, yeah.
No, you bring up a good point, right? I think up to 10K, nutrition is up to 10K. Nutrition is not about what additional you eat. I think it's about what you don't eat, right? As you start on this running journey, it's important that you stop eating those junk foods and limit your intake of sugar, limit your intake of alcohol, uh, you know, fried food, uh, fast food specifically, because you will see that in running, if your eating habits are not good, you will feel that it will give your body will give you feedback on the trail that, hey buddy, you did not do well in the eating department last night, right? So up to 10K, I think, if you're training for 5K or 10K, don't worry about additional supplements, don't worry about taking anything additional, stay with your eating routine, but stop eating any junk foods, right? So that is one. After 10K, what Shubhangi said is absolutely right. Your glycogen store in the body goes down, so you need to find ways to replenish that as you go on the long distance runs, right? So Hitesh, you did half marathon. Did you follow anything specific beyond 10K? What was your nutrition kind of a best practice?
So again, I tried to follow mostly the advices by the coach, right? And
Hmm.
again, I think Shvangi all touched the right points, right? Keeping hydrated is the key. I think making sure the electrolytes are on the right side of you. taking gel on the long distance runs to make sure that you don't get like you get all the right things while you're running. Taking right intake of carbs before the night in case of long running. So like bananas or pastas or those kind whenever you are going for a longer run. So I think in the longer run, definitely, making sure that you have the right balance within the body to take you to the larger or longer distance.
Yeah, great. Arnav, you have anything to add on the nutrition side?
Yeah, so I was running a 10K season last season. So more than like just adding things to my diet, just like you said, I just tried to like not eat as much sugary foods, and I just tried to be a little bit more healthy than I normally would. And before like my race day or like long runs, we would usually just make pasta at home, just to carb load for the next day. But yeah, that's not much.
Yeah, yeah. No, this is great, especially coming from a kid, not to, have limit your sugar intake is very inspiring. Uh, and I know how you did your 10K now. So I know you followed even the nutrition guidelines, whatever you just said, you followed to the T, just to make sure that your 10K goes seamlessly. That's amazing. Now changing gear, right? Coming to in winter season, uh, this week, as I said, in New Jersey, especially, outside running conditions were really, really bad. And uh, general guidelines to runners are safety comes first, right? If the running conditions outside are not good, go to gym, hit a treadmill. If you treadmill is not accessible to you, then do some cardiovascular activity, stair stepper, or something else, right? You can do something, but don't go out because safety always comes first. Shubhangi, how do you manage this in Toronto, man?
So to be honest, this is the first time I'm running in the winter, so I'm not an expert on this topic. I'm learning every week, I'm learning and adapting to the weather. The winter was pretty mild in December, so I think I managed.
Hmm.
Actually messaged on my group cohort and asked for advice, like how do people manage in winter, and I got lots of great advice and motivation about how people actually enjoy running in the winter. And I said, okay, let me try it out. So I got good gloves, a good hat, dressed in layers, followed all the advice. And in December, I went several times outdoors, and it was actually quite fun. Like you feel cold in the first 5-10 minutes, and then your body warms up and you're taking off layers, and it actually worked out. It was nice. And last week here also, it has been brutally cold. So I have been avoiding, like, yeah, there's black ice on the road, and or it's slushy or it's super cold. And I have been running this whole week. I ran on the treadmill. And so I think a hybrid approach is what is working for me now. I agree, not injury comes first, sorry, safety comes first. So if the conditions are icy outside, I'm not yet comfortable going out. And
Hmm.
otherwise, I think just get good quality clothing. And I when I go out for a run, I see other people running outside too on the streets, and it's
Hmm.
motivating. People can go out in the cold, and I think if you dress appropriate, one can. It's going to be quite pleasant if the
Yeah.
condition is safe.
Yeah.
But
Layered
I'm also
approach
learning.
is,
Yeah.
yeah, the layering is, I think, a lot of material has been distributed on coach corners as well as it's coming from your coaches. But layered clothing is the key, right? Because you will realize that you have 4 layers on. After 1 mile, you don't want 4 layers. You have to go to 2 layers and stuff because your body warms up, right? So layered clothing and the recommended merchandise for layered clothing is also available on our RHWB website. So when there is no black ice and the conditions are good, definitely I would strongly recommend use layer clothing approach, have a right gear, and go out for running. Because trust me, and I hope Shubhang you'll agree with me. Once you go out and do your run and come back, it doesn't feel that wintry, right? Rest of the day because your body warmed up and you did that activity. You subscribe to that?
No, totally agree. It's a pleasant way to pass. Otherwise, you were used to just bundling yourself up and staying at home. But it's great to not feel scared of the winter and be out
Yeah.
and about. So, yeah.
Hitesh, I know you said you are in Connecticut and that it gets cold there as well. Anything on top of what we discussed? Anything else you follow?
Again, same. I mean, I like running outside. I avoid treadmill as much as I can, but then there are days when you can't go out. So to use the hybrid approach, take the good judgment depending on the road conditions, and then I think layering, make sure you like the right gear are with you, and then it always like earlier again last year was the first season, so I was not very sure how the winter running would be running outside. But then again, same thing. Like when I started running after 1 or 2 miles, it didn't feel that it actually felt good. So running out. So I think there are a lot of information again on the coach corner how to do outside running. So follow that, use the right gear, take precaution, and then I think you will enjoy it.
Yeah, yeah. And look, there is no bad outcome for a run. I have never heard this, right? There are bad runs, good runs, and stuff like that. But if you think from the outcome standpoint, and if you are a new runner, 2 months back you were not running, right? Now you are going out and doing a run. So there is, I would say, every run the outcome is good only, right? You may experience little bit, discomfort here and there because either it's cold or the weathers are not conducive. But trust me, there is never a bad outcome for going out and doing a run. Yeah. All right. So amazing 16 weeks of training. You finished the training. And then I know, Arnav, you and Hitesh joined the RHWB race day, right? And I think, Shubhangi, you did a race in Toronto. Your race was Toronto. How was the race day experience? Let me start with you, Shubhangi. How was the race day experience? I mean, first time, trained for half marathon. You are at the start line, right? I'm sure there is some anxiety and nervousness on, because we train, we do the longest run we do is 10 mile in our training program, right? And you're at the start line. What was your mental model? How did you approach it? I'm sure you were anxious and little bit of nervous.
I think I was nervous. The day before, I was more nervous. I think when I showed up,
Oh,
there was
okay.
more of excitement and high. Like there were like, I don't know, 8,000 people running. And so everybody, like it's like a party atmosphere. Like there's so many runners and there's loud music and people holding up motivational posters everywhere. So it was completely like it was an unreal experience. Like it was just, I mean, I used to run at a certain pace all my runs, and here just with the momentum or the energy of in the atmosphere, like I just ended up maybe running much faster than I thought I
Yeah.
was running or intended to, which probably hence made me really sore by the end of it. But it was a very energizing atmosphere because you're running in such a big crowd of people, all kinds of people with, I mean, in all different phases and stages of life running with you. And so many people on the sides of the road motivating you on and cheering you on. So I think it was a very different experience, a very euphoric experience in parts, and
Yeah.
so it was awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I will tell you, it's also, so you, for 16 weeks, you do physical training and you're building your endurance and stamina to be ready for the race. But knowingly or unknowingly, you are also doing a mental training, right? Of preparing for that event or preparing for that long distance. And I used to say this that hey, running is 50% physical and 50% mental. And a lot of people ask me, what do you mean by mental, right? I mean, consistency and all that comes along with it. And and I couldn't explain it earlier. But then I was reading this book and I read this amazing line that, it says mental training is about getting your mind to a place where you can work through the discomfort, right? And that's really what running is all about, that you are prepared, you're trained for, in your case, 10 miles, but then you are also trained to manage that discomfort which you are going to get in last 2 miles, right? And that is what RHWB training is all about, 16 weeks. And mental training is not about finishing your runs. Mental training is about getting in the habit of planning your week ahead, right? Getting in a habit of snow outside, I will go hit the gym even if I don't like the treadmill, finishing it on treadmill, getting in a habit of, okay, treadmill is not accessible, I will just do elliptical today, but do some cardio strengthening exercises, right? So it's all mental training uh, to work through that discomfort, which can come, which obviously comes to every runner's way. Uh, it also helps you on a D-day, right? On a race day. Hitesh, what about you? RHWB race day, I was there. I witnessed it. And I think the last one was one of the best ones with Edison Mayer coming in and lot of things happened. How was, Hitesh, your experience on race day? What did you feel
Oh,
after you
I think it
completed
was
your half marathon?
it was amazing. I think second best decision, first best decision was to join RHWB, and second best decision was to come and join in New Jersey, because I was debating myself because I had to travel from Connecticut to New Jersey. But I think it was amazing. It was sort of a celebration, I think, more than a run, and like mm, getting to know people whom like 16 weeks you have trained together now, sort of running side by side to them. And there are a lot of so many volunteers cheering you for you, motivating you to run faster. As Shubhangi said, probably ran
Yeah,
faster than what I would have run all the training time. So I think it gives a running an altogether different experience, a different meaning, I would say, motivating even for the next runs as well, because you see so much joy in everyone's face by completing the run, and then you see people all ages of life, like
celebrating
kids.
with you. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly, right. So from kids to senior citizens. So I think
Yeah,
it
it's the
was
RH, more than race day, it's a RHWB family event, right? It's like 250 RHWB family who gone through the training together for 16 weeks, endured all the setbacks and issues and weather related issues, and completing that race together, hand in hand, right? It's just amazing experience. I don't know, you were there first 10K. Uh, how were you feeling after crossing the finish line?
Yeah, after crossing the finish line, it was so good. It was unlike any run I've ever had. One, because I knew this was the result of 16 weeks of hard training, like just balancing out schedules and just knowing I made it like at the end and I still went through everything. But more than after run, even during the run, I think the volunteers who were there were really helpful and just kept me motivated throughout the way, saying positive things, giving out drinks. And I think the whole experience was very positive, as yeah, it's just unlike any other run I've ever done.
Yeah, I'm sure. I mean, it's word can't explain. My first half marathon when I did, I mean, I couldn't explain how I'm feeling. I was over the cloud, and obviously that time Facebook and every social channel I could get, I bragged about my half marathon run. But it was just amazing. And I don't know, after finishing 10K, despite knowing that the school is starting, you signing up for half marathon, as I said earlier, it's just motivational, and it tells how it in a way tells how you felt after you're finishing your 10K. So super amazing discussion. Uh, if I were to summarize, right, what we just, the key points from today's discussion for the new runners or for our listener, it would be, I think we first talked about consistency is the key, right? And consistency is the key, and it's an outcome of planning ahead, getting in a habit of planning your week ahead, making sure your runs are on priority, right? So that's key point number one. Number two, setbacks will happen, life will happen, injury will happen, resiliency, right? It's about bouncing back from that. As I said, I think the running is about starting over, right? Every day, if you're feeling good, look at your final surge, go out to finish your activity, because on the way of the training, you're going to collect what I call as CB breadcrumbs and confidence booster breadcrumbs, little by little, right? So, for example, hey, I couldn't run 1 mile nonstop, and then you are going to hit that small milestone one day that you could run 1 mile nonstop, and that's a confidence booster breadcrumb which you have to collect, celebrate, share it with your coach, put it on a runner's high, and then slowly you will see that as you collect these breadcrumbs, in a matter of time, after 16 weeks, you're ready for the D-Day. So running is, remember guys, running is about starting over. Last one, nutrition. If you're doing 5K, 10K, it is not about eating additional stuff. It is about stopping unwanted stuff, which is like, fast food, unhealthy food, sugary drinks, alcohol, and stuff like that. Um, and last but not the least, celebrate each of your milestones, right? 0.5 mile, 1 mile, first 5K, first 10K. We are a RHWB family. We should celebrate it together because that's gonna give you a lot of motivation to keep going. Right? Did I miss anything? Hitesh, Shubhangi, Arnav, anything you would like to add?
No, I think you summarized very well, Coach Ani. I think that's the key. Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. So this was super helpful. Hitesh, Shubhangi, Arnav, it was great talking to you. Thank you so much for doing this. I'm sure all our listener, uh, is gonna get inspired by this. Not only, I don't know, you and Hitesh, we have a good diversified, kind of a guest today, but sharing the same characteristics of being a rookie, started as a non-runner, transformed themselves after 16 weeks into an amazing runner, and who are aware of what they did, the best practices they followed, which they are going to carrying over to the next season. So this is amazing to see. So they're going to get inspired with all the word of wisdom you have shared here on the training program. Uh, Again, thanks to all listener. Hope you like the podcast. If you have any feedback, please reach out to me. Share it with your coach, share it with Bala, but we would like to hear from you. But thank you all for listening, and see you all on the running trail. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Coach Annie.
Thank you, Coach Ani.
Thank you.